It's time to pick a side. The Border War is on the air with BG and TanMan.
All right, guys, welcome into the Border War this week. I'm TanMan. I'm here with BG. We want to thank everyone who listened or downloaded our show last week. We want to remind you all that we can be found on Twitter at The Border War. If you would like to tweet with BG, he is at BG_Border War. I am at TanMan3264.
That is the only Twitter handle I am at.
And you threw me. You completely just
interrupted. I do not have other Twitter handles.
So you don't have a burner account?
I do not.
I have 9 burner accounts. I'm just kidding.
Is one of them not Fox Sports 1400?
I do not run at not Fox Sports 1400.
I do not either. So I don't follow it, and I don't listen to that crappy station. Let's continue.
So that's established. We are also on Facebook, and if you would like to close your eyes and listen to a YouTube video without a video feed, we can be found on YouTube as well.
We're probably going to fix that at some point.
Maybe not.
We're going to have a better place at some point, and we already know what that place is, that will have better video backgrounds than sitting in TanMan's man cave.
Yep.
So for right now, it's a nice room, but it doesn't really add anything to a video broadcast.
No. If you did not catch, if you're not one of the 6 people who saw BG live on Facebook Live before we hit the air, he let you know we will be changing up the format a bit. Beginning today, instead of one big giant show, we're going to break it up into smaller segments, so a little bit easier to listen to. And since we are going with a smaller time frame, BG, let's jump right into it. College baseball, a big weekend this past weekend. The super regionals are set, and we'll go around the tournament here. We've got a couple all SEC matchups with Florida and Auburn. You guys play Arkansas, Texas Tech and Duke, Texas, and my pick, Tennessee Tech.
I can't believe you're going to get an ego about this. You know you put zero thought into that.
Zero thought? I did my research. I went through. I found the team.
Where's the 8 ball? You asked an 8 ball.
There's no 8 ball. I've been on Tennessee Tech for a week now. Washington and Cal State Fullerton, this whole side of the bracket, this whole quadrant, I guess, shot all to pieces. Vanderbilt and Mississippi State, so a third all-SEC matchup. Minnesota and Oregon State, and finally Stetson and North Carolina. But BG, we're going to start right here in the Palmetto State. There's one big old dud that got laid this weekend as far as I'm concerned, and it's down in Clemson.
Look, all jokes aside, I'm a South Carolina fan. TanMan, answer this question legitimately. Have I not been high on this baseball team all year?
I think we both have.
Have I not said over and over this was a team loaded with upper-class talent, the best hitter in the last 3 years in college baseball, and Seth Beer? They said it the other night, the most home runs of any active college player as of when he was active this week. And I told you that it was what? Or bust.
It was Omaha or bust.
Omaha or bust. Now, when you get to Omaha and you don't win, cool. That thing is a whole different animal. It's a disappointing season, period. And look, Clemson fans, I'm just shooting it to you straight. And if it was South Carolina this time last year, I would have told you the same thing. Much like college basketball, the postseason is what matters when you're a good baseball team, and this is 3 regionals in a row that Clemson has hosted and has lost. Now, if it was one, it happens. We went up to East Carolina and lost in 2009. The next year we won a national title. So that doesn't become a narrative. But now Monty Lee in his 3 seasons has done the same thing 3 years in a row. And yes, I think at this point it is a narrative. And it is unlikely that Clemson's baseball team will be as good next season.
Well, I'll tell you, the thing that I'm looking at that jumps out to me as being the most disappointing thing. One, you were set up to win this regional.
You were going to host a super regional because Florida State blew it in 2 games.
Well, you were going to Tallahassee. If everything had held, You were going to go to Tallahassee. It was going to be a familiar opponent. And then when Florida State lost, now all of a sudden you go to hosting the Super Regional, right? You're on track. You're going to host the Super Regional. And then look at the rest of this quadrant. All 4 host teams lost. So you've got a 3 seed in Washington, or excuse me, that's a 3. A 3 in Washington and a 3 in Cal State Fullerton. BG, I know the College World Series is a whole different animal, but this was set up for a deep Clemson run here.
Right.
I think they were going to be the best team all the way up to a championship series probably, and they just fell flat on it. What did they give up? 9 home runs on
Lord,
the last game against Vanderbilt?
And everybody understands you have those games, but it just seems like, correct me if I'm wrong, man, but every time Clemson has these games, it's in the playoffs. I mean, that it has happened 3 years in a row. Vanderbilt has now taken them out of the tournament. And TanMan, this was a Vanderbilt team that most people thought shouldn't have even made the tournament.
Yeah.
I mean, if Vanderbilt had been out of the SEC, I don't even think they'd make it.
They probably
with the same exact record. Can I just go back, though? Like, all this noise about Ray Tanner and the committee. No, I think it turns out you didn't need to be a national seed, Clemson. Sorry.
When you look around, you see Stanford losing as a national seed, Georgia losing as a top seed, Ole Miss losing. Is Clemson, in your mind, one of the bigger flops of the weekend? With the way they lost.
Clemson and Florida State, I think, are the 2 that jump out to me. I mean, it was right there for them. And I said last week on the show that they had an excellent chance of still hosting a Super Regional.
Yeah.
Florida State has always been a choke artist when it comes to college baseball. Look, it was right there. And the fact of the matter is that Clemson didn't lose to Vanderbilt or anybody else. They got in their own way. They beat themselves. They played tight. And some of that's got to be on Monty Lee. I just think it is.
I think that there was you certainly can't argue that that's one of the bigger flops, but I don't think it's the biggest. When you look at Georgia and Ole Miss, both hosting, both having to get beat twice in the same day, and both losing twice in the same day.
After that exhausting SEC schedule, though, you can't call those chokes. It's
I didn't say
such
choke. I said
gauntlet,
flop.
man.
You lost twice. You lost twice in one day. That's a flop. Moving along, we're going to head up to Chapel Hill, BG. The Tar Heels.
So far, the Tar Heels hold serve, and that's all anybody needed you to do.
No such flop.
Well, you were really worried, though. You were really worried this time last week. You have a very short memory when it comes to yourself.
No.
You never. No. You sat here. I told you had nothing to worry about. That this was a North Carolina program who had shown mental toughness, and you said they've hurt me before. I can't.
No, I knew. Going into last week, we were dominant. We were going to run through the regional.
You are
no problem.
Full of sky blue crap right now.
Never. The Tar Heels, they match up with Stetson out of the A-Sun. I had no idea the type of program that they had. If you watch some of those games in the outfield at Stetson, because they hosted, I can't remember the one, but they had a couple different major league posters or players that have come through. One was Jacob deGrom went there.
Yeah,
and played there. And there was another one I'm drawing a blank. I didn't realize their baseball program had it like that. 48-11, 15-3.
And a place in the country where it's not that competitive. I mean, you figure if you kind of sell in, you think about like Gonzaga in college basketball. If you sell in on a sport like this, you can make some noise if you're willing to build the facilities and you're willing to kind of make those grassroots recruiting techniques that you need. Obviously, they have for a while.
Well, I'd say clear. You look at where I think baseball is the one sport where the playing field is a lot more even for the little guys.
I think in basketball, you do have those schools that you get. If you have one really elite shooter on a basketball court, the whole team can become better. But you're right. Baseball is one of those sports that it is. I don't know. It just feels like the talent is somewhat more predictable in these sort of recruiting chains that happen, and certain schools. Just have traditions that go way back, and Stetson's one of those programs.
Yeah, well, the Tar Heels, they beat North Carolina A&T once and Houston twice, once in more of a pitcher's duel kind of game, the second one in a slugfest, but they win all 3 of them. 34 runs over the 3 days. The bats were alive. Other than the last game against Houston, the arms were there. Stetson, they go through, they run through their regional, they outscore Oklahoma State 21-4 in the 2 games that they faced off with the Cowboys. And for all those runs, Stetson hit 1 home run over the weekend. So those guys can get it done. As far as the matchup this weekend, BG, I think the Tar Heels will have to be favorites.
I would think so.
To me, the biggest hurdle is going to be just making sure that your mind is right, and you have to believe
that you haven't already checked that box off. Oh, they're coming to us. Yeah.
I think that happened to them last year with Davidson, and Davidson beat them twice and handled them.
Well, and I think that might be the thing that takes care of that worry for you. I mean, this team has to understand that that's possible because it just happened.
Right. Stetson, they've got a guy who was just drafted in the first round, pitcher. He was 11-1, 2.52 ERA. Logan Gilbert, the right-hander. So the hands are going to be full for the Tar Heels this weekend. So moving on. We'll head down to, or I guess up to Greenville, North Carolina. Tell you guys a good weekend. BG, what are your thoughts on the Gamecocks and their surprising super regional run?
Well, to me, at this point, it's not a surprise. When you win 5 straight SEC series, it wasn't surprising to me that we won this regional. You know, I wasn't going to come out and call it last week when you said a sort of upstart, surprising team. Let's look for some 2 seeds. But I felt that old confidence that I used to feel with this team. I didn't feel like we would lose a game in that regional. I think I said it on the show last week. I felt like we were at this point. The seeds don't matter, TanMan. You know that. At this point in the season, I thought we were the best team in that regional. I think that's probably been proven true. I don't think it was a particularly tough one.
I was going to say, I don't think that was a juggernaut of a region by any stretch of the imagination.
It wasn't. Well, there have to be some advantages to having your athletic director picking your games for you. I mean, like that. That's why you put Ray Tanner in charge of that kind of thing. So you get cupcake games.
So that he can screw the poor Clemson Tigers.
Yes, but it is still hard to win a baseball game. And, this team, we've talked about it after the PC loss. They turned it around. I thought the story of that regional was really pitching and defense. The offense did score some runs, but I think yesterday they left 18 guys on base. They still went 8-4. Some really
got
nice.
A little nervous there. That 8-4 could have easily been 12-4, 13-4. Was it the 6th and 7th inning?
It could have been 18.
Left guys all over the bags.
They left the bases loaded 3 times and won by 4 runs. Danny Blair, a little used outfielder, going into the series or the regional, batting 186. Walk-off home run for the win. Wins the most valuable player for the regional. That home run, TanMan, that's going to go down into top 3 or 4 plays in South Carolina baseball history. He's already he has put himself right up there with Whit Merrifield and Jackie Bradley Jr. and those guys. Yeah, man.
No.
Yes.
You're talking no.
Yes, that's that big of a deal. However,
no, it's not.
It is because this team came out of nowhere. But here's the thing. I'm going to take my garnet glasses off and say it's over now. Arkansas will whip our butts. And I think we'll battle. I think they'll beat us 2-0.
Listen to this guy hedging his bets
we've played
here.
them 4 times this season. A 3-game series. They beat us handily 2 of those 3.
This guy hedging his bets. So when you get beat 7-1, 7-1, you can go, oh, well, I didn't think we ever had a chance.
I think they're that much better than us. I think Arkansas is a legitimate national title contender. What Mark Kingston's pulled off in Columbia, you're playing with house money now. This team, at the beginning of the season, very few people had us making the playoffs. Now you're in the equivalent to the Sweet 16, a lot of momentum to build off for next season. I'll be pulling for the Gamecocks, but I'm not holding my breath.
All right. Florida and Auburn, who you got?
Look,
the Gators are hosting.
Florida.
Auburn wins the Raleigh Regional as a 2 seed.
Florida goes to Omaha. I mean, this is a team that knows how to do that. Kevin O'Sullivan knows how to manage teams to Omaha. I don't like the guy, but he's a hell of a manager.
Next is Texas Tech and Duke in that top left-hand quadrant. This one will be in Lubbock. Duke wins the Athens Regional. They beat Georgia twice. I'll take Texas Tech. I'm not
taking Texas Tech too. Duke did not dominate. They struggled. Just something about Duke baseball to Omaha just doesn't ring right. Texas Tech sounds more like something that's going to happen to me.
Let's see. Bottom, Arkansas and South Carolina. You just said you're
Definitely
taking Arkansas.
With Arkansas there.
I'll take Arkansas as well. And finally, in the bottom half, going to Austin, my Tennessee Tech Golden Eagles, I think is the mascot. They are going to Austin to take on the Longhorns, riding the hot bats. Give me Tennessee Tech over Texas.
I think I'm going to go with Tennessee Tech, too. Texas.
I'm sorry, the bandwagon is full, sir.
Well, then don't ask me.
The bandwagon is full.
Move on!
Quit trying to jump on my wagon. Washington, Cal State, Fullerton. I think Fullerton's hosting this one. Give me Fullerton.
I'll go with the Huskies with this one. Neither one of the Cal State Fullerton sounds more like an Omaha team to me. It does, but I'll go with the Huskies.
And another all SEC Super Regional, Vanderbilt and Mississippi State.
Hell,
Vanderbilt.
Nah,
they ride through. They're peaking at the right
Vanderbilt
time.
Didn't
championship.
Peak. Vanderbilt was handed a
championship medal.
Vanderbilt was lucky enough to draw a mentally weak Clemson team that handed them easy wins.
About half up in Corvallis, Oregon State hosting the Minnesota Golden Gophers. All four of these teams that are in this quadrant here, they're all host seeds, all number one seeds. The only section where all four number one seeds advanced.
I am going to go with the Golden Gophers in memory of my good friend Nick's brother Phil.
It pains me because I'm still not over that 06 College World Series where they
time
beat
to
us.
Get over that.
Every time I see Oregon State, I think about that. But they'll head back, and hopefully we'll get to match up with them because I'm taking us to beat Stetson in a very competitive series this weekend. I think this might be one of the better series all weekend.
I think it'll be competitive. I think you win 2-0.
2-0. Not giving the Hatters any respect, BG. All right, guys, that's it. That's the college baseball segment 1, show baseball. 1, wherever you want to call it. Tune in. There's more to come.